All right, let's do this how we normally do this, which is in one take. I'm highly elevated right now on some caffeine. I just had a quad shot vanilla latte that I made with some extra cinnamon. And as in the midst of me listening to some jazz and almost losing my mind with the shakes due to the fact that I'm highly elevated, I had some breakfast this morning. This morning being a 12:15. And as I'm breaking my fast and listening to a couple of things, one, the voices of people who are no longer with us on YouTube, and two, the angst of my mind going berserk as I'm trying to find a way to share these words with you. Not like it matters, like I'm really putting into perspective who really listens. It's about like 4 to 5 people per upload, and I'm okay with that because I'm not doing this for others. I'm doing this as a means of just putting together the things that I'm sharing with you, you being the future me who will look upon this and be like, damn, this is really where I was at. And here I am sitting at my kitchen table as there's no guest in my house right now, as they're going about their days, enjoying themselves as they should. You know, I'm giving them the opportunity to stay here in the beach cities at a very fractionable price of almost nothing, but a little bit of something, as I do need to pay my rent still. And as I dust my feet off, I think about where I'm at right now. And where I'm at right now is 1 year of being jobless, 6 months of being sober, and 2 weeks away from finishing my second book. And you're thinking, what are you talking about? And well, to those people who think they knew me and think they know me, they're probably watching this thinking, this guy's losing his fucking mind. But the reality of it is, I'm really coming into myself. Today, as I'm putting together my third book, I was writing and wondering, what have I actually done, right? And I was listening to a Ray Bradbury interview, and I was thinking to myself, I have always been someone who's put onto paper beautifully crafted words in a way that tells stories to the child who used to lock himself away from the chaotic home that he lived in, and shut himself from the reality that was just imploding on itself as a result of conquest and minds that were taking over by situations that, some people ask, why do I exist? And I'm sitting here now in this rambling form that you see in front of you, and I think to myself, damn, I have literally survived a year of unemployment in this chaotic state called California, in a world of eyes that just say, how are you still here? Like, how are you living here? And those are the eyes of my neighbors who can't stand seeing me walk amongst them day in and day out. And I'm sitting here realizing that if I wasn't supposed to be here, I wouldn't be here. If I wasn't supposed to be like amongst these streets, I wouldn't be here. All right, sorry. I guess my SD card was filled and I didn't even know it. Yeah, I think what I'm trying to say and put together is the fact that, like, being a year of not working, there are so many things that I had to learn. The thing is, I had to unsubscribe. Sorry. Sometimes my brain moves quicker than the words come out of my mouth. Doesn't help that I also suffered a major concussion almost 2 years ago now. But anyways, what I'm saying is, we're living in a society that is telling you that a stock market to the 401k to the 10% that you contribute is more important than your actual well-being. Hear me out. A year of being unemployed has taught me that the fucking job that you do doesn't actually matter, because you can be cut, Control-Alt-Deleted into a trash can, into a recycling bin, and never thought of again. The other thing that I realized is that the people who are around you always singing your praises with eyes of deception really don't matter. You can actually, like, sweep those false words and emptiness aside, because if you're always hearing praises, most likely someone's not telling you the truth. The other thing that I learned is that the way of the artist, not talking about the book, because I've never read that book and I refuse to read that book, but the way of the artist is something that can't be obtained through the eyes of this world. The way of the artist is connecting back to the you that existed before all the other words that told you to sit down, write your name on this piece of paper, do as I say, or else your name will go on the board as one of the shitless people in the room. If you can't receive your stars today, well, will you ever receive your stars? I don't know. I don't want to walk on stars on the boulevard as people shit on them because they can't find a restroom that's open, that doesn't require 75 cents to enter, or maybe even a Big Mac meal that is necessary in order for you to take a shit. So what I'm saying is, to understand who you are, you need to break away from society. You need to understand that you will be in debt to the system that is requiring you to pay outrageous amounts of money to just fucking live, to just have a glass of water. Water should be free without the unleadedness of something that's going to corrupt your mind. For Christ's sake, I share my home in order for me to survive. I lived in a way that, like, all the money that I had while I was working could never be spent because I was always working. And now here I am not working, and I'm using all the money that it's intended for you to use after retirement so you can enjoy the last 4 to 5 years, maybe 10 years of your life as you enter the Alzheimer's and the dementia, forgetting who you were because the person that you subscribe to could afford the subscriptions of stories that have already been told. And I sit here so passionately with caffeine, like, penetrating my frontal cortex, because I think in the midst of losing my job and losing who I was and who I thought I was on the day of accepting that email that said, do you want to start working for the company that you always dreamed of working for? I'm in the midst of becoming who I really am. And who I really am is the person who sat in the room with his Legos and all the colors of the rainbow, creating worlds and designing things that mattered to him. And in the last 24 years of my life, I lost myself to the things that people thought I should be doing. I lost myself to the women who were so insecure by damaged men who were just false fathers who didn't allow themselves to actually become the carpenters that they were supposed to be. And here I am sitting here understanding that at the end of the day, like, the unfinished walls, the decrepit cabinets, the little critters that seek to find the crumbs that have fallen from the sandwiches that I made for others. This is what matters. And I have no desires to be anything but myself. And in this poetic justice of like writing down all these words on blank pieces of paper to find the true meaning of life, I'm living it. I'm really living it. And while society is telling you to sell a new course to somebody who is stuck themselves and can't find the space to look at themselves in the mirror and think, what the fuck have I been doing? I'm now realizing that it was with me all along. The life that I was living inside of me, frustrated, yelling, cursing, telling people off, driving fast, crashing my mopeds, and, telling the women that I immerse myself with the truth when tears of reality would hit their face. I'm understanding now that all of that chaos and eruption was merely the child seeking to play in the playground for once and not be told that he can't climb up the furthest step because he might fall and, hurt himself when he never even had that experience of hurting himself. So here I am now saying that unemployment has been the biggest blessing of my life. And losing my job meant losing the self that really wasn't myself. And I think we're living in such a way that we look at these screens all day and we think, oh my God, I want what's on this algorithm that is not even real. We're being put under a spell that is just telling us what we should and shouldn't do. And the truth of the matter is, who's to say? I'm not going to be doom scrolling all day to try and find happiness. I'm going to go outside and walk and endure through the stares of the people who hate me, who can't stand looking at me because of the fact that I'm just living. I'm not going to talk about stock markets and investments and 401ks and retirements because I'm living now. I'm not going to sing songs of depression and love, of things that I never even experienced, because that is not my reality. I'm going to continue to be on the road and find a way to pay for the little things that I need in order to survive this godforsaken, corrupt, human-made world, because one day I will be entering the godliness that is outside this man-made pile of shit. And so as I sit here and look at my plants and look at my unfinished walls and see the little critters climbing on the walls and watch my dog as he sleeps and looks at me and says, when are we going to go for a walk? I'm going to do those things. I'm going to live the life that is truly my own. I'm going to sit down with people and have conversations with them because I actually see them. I'm not going to allow people to try and tell me what they think is the truth when they're not even living their own truth. So I say this in the midst of saying to be an artist is to struggle. To be an artist is to walk away from all the things that you were taught and remember that insecure people were merely trying to tell you the things they wish they could have done. And so I think we need to take a moment and pause and slow down and stop. Like, just stop and stop with the dumb, stupid stares of like not knowing what to say and just allow life to live through you. And stop seeking for the validation of others who they themselves are an other in their own body. And I have people sometimes tell me, like, after I post a video, you know, these are the things that I should do. And like, you know, this is what's trending. I don't give a flying fuck what's trending. I don't care what's being done by other people. I am myself. Why am I going to try and be someone else? I had someone literally tell me like, oh, you should be uploading 5 times a day and you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And I guess what? I don't care. I'm just at this point where I have so many layers of crap that I had to cut through in the last 365 days of receiving that termination letter as I sat in front of my boss, and I could feel in my heart that like, wow, like what do I do next? But at the same time, I felt relief because I was so tired of living a life that didn't have any meaning. And there are so many people in various cities that are like just under a spell that has been heavily like spoken into over these lands, and we have to like escape. You know, I would say that the value that I see in the work that I'm doing is when someone can pause and walk into my home and be like, oh my God, like this is more beautiful than I thought. Or, you know, showing somebody some photos and they're like, oh my God, you took that. I'm like, yeah, that's because that's exactly what I saw. Or cooking them a meal because I know they're hungry and I'm finishing a fast and I'm like, damn, like feeding you is more important than feeding me. Like these things matter. And so in the midst of finishing this book, I'm learning that words are free. Living this life is free. And the freeing part of it is when you can finally see and understand and know, then you can just smile at others and not even care what they're talking about. Because 90% of what they're talking about, it doesn't matter. It's shit that they have acquired as a result of putting on a false mask. And so I would say I'm happy and I'm thankful and I'm appreciative because of the life that I'm living and the things that I'm doing, because they are genuinely me. And I don't look at anyone else's life and say, I want those things. I don't see the material world and think, damn, I want more. I just want to be able to afford good salt. That's it. I want to be able to season my meat well. I want to be able to have clean drinking water. I want to be able to look at my neighbors and be like, do you need help today? Can I help you take that upstairs? I want to be able to disturb the false realities that people have been living and wake them up as a result of being a witness in non-judgment, being unapologetically me, sharing these things in such a way that will wake them up. That's it. And I think that bothers some people because they don't know how to jump, because you have to jump, or maybe you're pushed into it that you need to figure out how to swim. And so this is merely me sharing my life in words, because I could have just journaled all this and I didn't want to. I wanted to jump on this. And most of the time when I'm jumping on this camera doing this, it's just a forever thing. So the caffeine is dying down. I probably just need some more water. But I just wanted to share these words on the eve of my 1 year of being unemployed. So, catch you all next time.
You're seriously not going to stop me?
Why would I do that?
Because I am standing here. I'm showing you my willingness to... No. Oh.